This week, we are once again reading in the Special Access Need to Know division on Patreon with the Roundtable. Given that we handed out this assignment last week, I thought after 7 days we could maybe do an assessment. The assignment being, of course, to see if the people in your local group, the people that you call friends or the folks that you trust the most or spend the most time with, could discern the difference between a quote from George Washington or a quote from Simon Bolivar. Without giving away the farm, without actually revealing who said what, it would cause people to think about how someone we believe or may not have even heard of or believe to be so different could have actually been so much the same, living 100 years later being a liberator for South America versus a liberator for North America in George Washington. Now, going into the 4th of July holiday, after I thought about handing this out, I thought that might not have been a great time to stir the pot, and there might have been some contamination because people would have been more up on patriotic themes and may have been able to more easily than not, or than at other times, discern the differences knowing George Washington quotes. So we're going to move forward. We'll get back to this later, but the next one we're going to do is something I think is going to be a little bit more relevant for everyone. We've been talking about this issue in Venezuela and how there's Venezuelan oil, which means oil that is pumped in Venezuela out of the ground by the Venezuelan government on behalf of the Venezuelan people. Then there's U.S. oil, which, well, yeah, it's in the United States and it's pumped out of from underneath our territory, but it becomes the property of private organizations enriching private entities and is not necessarily there for the profit and well-being of the American people. See, up until 2015, every time they said, oh, we found more oil in America, everyone was like, oh, yay, great, more oil for us, because prior to 2015, it was illegal for ExxonMobil, Shell, BP to export oil for profit. Many people did not know this. 1975. The ban on oil exports took effect after the Saudis pretty much held us hostage because we were getting so much of our oil from them. When that expired in 2015, now these companies can, it doesn't matter how much oil they discover underneath America, they can sell it to whoever they want for whoever is the highest bidder and the most profit, or whoever grease palms. So every time you hear this thing about, oh, we found more oil, we have more oil, doesn't always mean more oil for us, even though it's in our country. So here's the assignment. Here's the thing that I want you to introduce to your groups and whomever, whatever group of people you want to. Here's where things get a little bit weird. Who really owns big oil? Well, look at this. 31% is pension funds, 21% individual investors, 20% mutual funds, 17% IRAs. Only 3% is actually, quote-unquote, owned by oil company executives, meaning, of course, shareholders. So you could look at this in a way when you add in the fact that they are taxed at an effective tax rate of 46, 43, and 42% here, respectively. You could say that there's a portion of U.S. oil that really is owned by the United States based on the amount of tax that's collected. And if that's the case, are we a socialist country? Because if I remember right, the issue with Chavez and the issue with Maduro appropriating this stuff, he didn't appropriate the whole thing. He took I think it was supposed to be a 70-30 deal, and he flipped it around. So we're only talking about numbers here. We're not talking about effective control and who makes what decision. So that would definitely be something that I think a lot of people would have this wake-up, oh my goodness moment when they realized that given how much we tax our oil companies, And given how much is invested in other things, don't we really have state-run oil? And if we do have state-run oil, how are we any different than Venezuela? They're just organizing it differently. And if the delineation that you'll make is that, well, the government doesn't have the final say, then we get back to, well, great. If they don't have final say, they can sell our oil to whoever the heck they want to, regardless of whether there's fuel shortages in America or not. Permian Basin or not. This will be classic psychological operation, cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias material. Because when people see those commercials about we've discovered shale and fracking and all this stuff, they will automatically make the leap that oil found in the U.S. goes to the U.S. when it doesn't. So we'll leave it there. So you guys are doing a great job and really appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thank you.